live turtles being smuggled in people's pants. Maybe it's not true, but I recall it from 10, 12 years ago.
I didn't believe it then either.
Stories. Welcome to PTI, boys and girls. In today's episode, the Dolphins beat the Jets, the Broncos stomped the Bengals, and the Rangers part ways with the manager who led them to a World Series title. But we begin today with the first game of the wild card playoffs, Detroit at Cleveland. They played 6 times in the past 2 weeks with a division lead on the line, and Cleveland won 5 of them. But today, it was the Tigers that took game 1, though it got a little dicey in the 9th. Wilbon, what struck you about today's result?
Scooble, man. Yeah. Look, I know the bottom of the 9th was crazy, and Jose Ramirez, who I have praised as being the most underrated player in all of baseball, maybe the last 10 years. He gets to third base on a throwing error in the infield by my man Javi Baez, and you're like, oh my God, Cleveland's going to do this. And then a ground ball back to the mound, and he gets caught in a semi, like a really quick rundown, and gets thrown out. And ultimately the game ends in Detroit's favor. But it's Scooble. He strikes out 14 and 7 2/3. He was masterful. When he went out after 107 pitches, I'm like, why take him out? I'm sorry. Because in the postseason, and this is a big, strong man, he's a dude. I ain't taking him out. They got away with it. Scooble, and more Scooble.
Yeah, let me just ask you one quick question. You think that was a contact play? Do you think he breaks for the play just on contact?
I think so, Tom.
Because in hindsight, look, there are a lot of things that we talk about as the cardinal rule in baseball. But you're down 1 run in the bottom of the 9th. You have a man on third with nobody out.
Yeah.
The fact that they don't score, I'm not saying they have to win the game, but they have to tie the game. He's got to come in, and you get a strikeout, you get the contact run and the rundown, and then you get a pop out. And so if you are Cleveland, that's a terrible loss because you're on the verge. You're certainly going to tie that game. I agree with you 100% about Scooble. Williams for Cleveland was terrific as well. He got hurt in the first inning on an error in the outfield, so an unearned run ultimately came in, and Detroit had a 1-0 lead for a long time. Scooble not only had 14 strikeouts, Mike, at no point did he field the ball and throw it backwards between his legs like he did the last time.
But he scooped one. He scooped one in there when he fielded a bunt. They were testing him.
There was a throw at the plate, and they reversed it because he was safe, right?
Yes, he was.
The runner was safe. Because if he's actually called out, it changes the entire game, obviously. But to me, I don't know if there's momentum now for Detroit because you have to play all the games on the road, and you're not going to get Scooble back in this series. So, I don't know, but it does seem like Detroit, by winning the last game between them in the regular season and now winning this opening game, has at least reversed that terrible slide that they were on.
I agree
so
with you.
now you could conceivably, pick Detroit in this series and not worry that they were just out of it completely.
Tony, there was no offense in this game. It was classic October baseball the day before we get to October. It did 2-1 nail biter. Every pitch had drama.
It was a really good game.
It was great.
And it was not, and we should say this, both starters were willing to go. This was not five and fly. This was starters going deep. It was starters going deep.
No bullpen game. I'm sure we'll get to that in the World Series. Right. Let's turn to tonight's games. The Red Sox and Yankees, God help me, meet in about 25 minutes with the Reds and Dodgers playing at 9 Eastern. That's early. That's rush hour on the West Coast. The Yanks and Dodgers met in last year's World Series, of course. Tom, which of these teams do you see as more vulnerable in this year's wild card round?
I don't think this is close. I think it's the Yankees. It's hard for me to see the Dodgers losing to the Reds. Yeah. They beat them 5 out of 6 this year. They outscored them 30-15. Over the course of the season, the Dodgers scored over 100 runs more than the Reds. So I think it's the Yankees. And I think it's the Yankees because this particular rivalry, the Red Sox and the Yankees, is so acute and has lasted for so long, and it's a real deal. They played 13 times this year, being in the same division. To me, they've played in so many big games. There's so much history there that, to me, I fully expect to see Mariano Rivera walk out of the bullpen or Big Papi walk out of the dugout, and they're wearing uniforms.
Yeah.
And they're wearing uniforms.
That'd be a news
now, let me get to this. The Yankees, the Yankees won 94 games this year and the Red Sox won 89 games. But the Red Sox won 9 out of 13 from the Yankees, including 8 in a row at one point. And in the first 9 games that they played this year, they outscored the Yankees 54-31. The Yankees came back on them and won 3 of the last 4, so maybe they figured it out. But I assume you're going to agree with me that you just cannot. It's never surprising if the other team wins in this series.
All those trends, all reported accurately. Thank you very much for all that insight. It don't mean jack. We've seen it with these two. It doesn't mean anything.
Yes.
And as much as I like to make fun of everybody who goes crazy over the Yankees and the Sox starting in March, I'm gonna watch. I have no rooting interest at all. So it's a little difficult for me. But I will watch and be fascinated, Tony. And I agree with you because the Reds, I don't want to face the Reds if I'm the Brewers or the Cubs in division. I don't want to see the Reds. But if I'm the Dodgers, I feel okay about facing the Reds. I mean, De La Cruz can't be a one-man wrecking crew by himself in a postseason series, even a short one. So I expect the Dodgers, I'm not going to say make quick work. Maybe it's a little difficult. But the Yankees and Dodgers, the Yankees would seem more vulnerable to me.
So the Red Sox are throwing Crochet tonight.
Ooh, Crochet.
He's 3-0 against the Yankees this year. The Red Sox have won all 4 of his starts against the Yankees this year. It's against Max Fried, who's got the most wins in baseball, 19, but only one of them was over the Red Sox, although he lost 1-0 and 2-0 because he got no support. So this is the kind of game you can't, there's no favorite. It's not, it's not really a favorite. Let's move on. Let's go to the NFL and last night's 2 Monday night games, of which it is fair to say they were not high drama. The Dolphins beat the Jets 27-21, but lost Tyreek Hill for the rest of the season with a dislocated knee and torn ligaments. And then the Broncos dominated the Bengals 28-3, which is what happens when Joe Burrow is out. Wilbon, which result did you find more compelling?
3 of the 4 teams are completely irrelevant, and both games were stinkers. So you're not going to hear a lot of cheering on the NFL Shield on this show, not based on what happened last night and that junk. Denver's the team that is relevant of those 4 teams. And I'm looking at Denver because I think Denver got hosed in that game against Indianapolis with the penalty because some guy made a swim move and was penalized on a missed field goal. So I think Denver's better than the 2-2 record indicates, Tony. And they came out there and they just said, enough of this. They don't have their guy, and Cincinnati's completely irrelevant without Joe Burrow. They're reduced to just mouthy wideouts who make $1 trillion screaming at their coaches or tweeting or making a nuisance of themselves because that's what receivers largely do. And so Cincinnati is meaningless. And it's too bad because they had some promise with Burrow out there, but he ain't out there until like Christmas time. So you can take it away with these 2 games because the 2 games themselves were worthless.
Well, one of the things that you learn about Monday Night Football is the schedule is made 3 and 4 months in advance. And you don't know Joe Burrow is not going to be playing. Denver, we're going to find out about Denver. Their wins are meaningless wins. It's Tennessee and Cincinnati. But they play at Philadelphia this week. We're going to learn something about them, and I also think they're a pretty good team. The word compelling is interesting here because there is nothing compelling about the New York Jets, especially since Aaron Rodgers is gone. They are 0-4. Aaron Glenn is a rookie coach, and he may not even get next year. They made 9 offensive penalties, Mike. 9 offensive penalties, which tied for second place of the most penalties in one game offensively in the last 25 years. I know you like Justin Fields. Justin Fields is now 0-25 in his career in the pros if the other team scores 21 points or more, which means he doesn't particularly rally the troops, right? And here's a quote from Breece Hall from the Jets. Teams will shoot themselves in the foot. We come back and shoot ourselves in the head. It doesn't matter who coaches the Jets. It doesn't matter who plays quarterback for the Jets. It's a disaster. Now, Miami isn't a good team. I understand they won. They just got to be a worse team. They were 0-3. Now they're 1-3. It's worse because Tyreek Hill is not playing. Their coach could be looking for a job next year. And you're right about Cincinnati. See, and I don't want to hear about What's his name? What's Browning's first name? Jake Browning. I don't want to hear about the Jake Browning bandwagon anymore.
Where's that?
Because they spent all of this money
2 years ago
on wide receivers, and they have no quarterback and no defense. Mike, here's what they've allowed in the last 2 games. They've been losing 76-13. There's a technical word for that, and it is
Lousy
not
defense,
awesome.
2 words.
All right, let's take a break. Coming up, Bruce Bochy's out in Texas. What's the word for that?
And how best to describe Nafisa Collier's rant to take down in WNBA leadership. Rant. That team, they're going at the commissioner. They won't say the commissioner's name specifically.
Time to trade words with Wilbon. What's first?
Bruce Bochy's split from the Rangers is blank.
It is opportunistic. And what I mean by that is that the San Francisco Giants just fired Bob Melvin the other day. The guy who was charged with picking a new manager for the Giants is Buster Posey. Buster Posey won 3 World Series with the San Francisco Giants.
Playing for who?
Playing for Bruce Bochy.
Yeah.
In fact, Buster Posey, all but 1 year of his career in the major leagues, he played for Bruce Bochy. So Bruce Bochy doesn't have to rehearse for a big interview here. Buster Posey can call up and say, hey, Skip, do you want the job? And Bochy can say, sure. Now, I mean, if he wants the job. Bochy is 70 years old. That's old to some, but Mike, as you know, it's a kid to me. And he's got 4 World Series rings. How many guys are active as managers have 4 World Series rings? So to me, this seems like it could be a great opportunity for Bochy to go back to San Francisco.
And I'm going to disagree with you so vehemently, I'm just going to say it's free agenting. Because he becomes a free agent now that he's fired and free to go where? San Francisco, where he knows his way around. The corner office, the ballpark, and yes, the GM of the team who was his star player. Talk about relationship, talk about fit. Tony, this seems like automatic. They should just fly Bochy. And I know, because first of all, he said in an interview he would not turn down a conversation with his guy and with the Giants. Yeah. And why would he? Why would he? If you're going to go out, you don't go, and he said he's having so much fun. He could have more fun in San Francisco, where they should put a statue to him outside whatever that ballpark is called now. It used to be called AT&T. Whatever it's called, statue to Bochy.
Yeah, I mean, you know, he just won the World Series 2 years ago.
Yeah.
He hasn't lost
up. No.
He hasn't lost it. No. All right, what's next?
Nafisa Collier's comments on WNBA leadership were blank.
They were inflammatory. Now, I'm not saying they're not true. I'm saying they're inflammatory. She blasted the WNBA commissioner, Kathy Engelbert. She blasted the officiating. She blasted the entire structure of management in the entire league. And by the way, she's a vice president of the Players Association. She also revealed details of a private conversation she had with Engelbert in which she quoted Engelbert as saying of Caitlin Clark, she ought to get down on her knees and thank this league for the platform it gave her to make all this money outside of her salary. Mike, I'm not big on private conversations being quoted, but are you kidding me? Caitlin Clark in college drew more people in the gym and on television than ever happened in the WNBA. So that's just a dumb statement. And I would say that Nafisa Collier, at this point, this is another quote. She said, we have great players, we have great fans, quote, we have the worst leadership in the world. So that's inflammatory, if not incendiary.
Tony, it's also repetitive, and that's my word. Because we've heard all year there's been this complaining. I mean direct hits. But too often for my taste, it's directed at leadership. Who are you talking about? Say what you mean and mean what you say is something my favorite English teacher, Jim Wall, taught me in high school. Say what you mean what you say. Are you ripping the commissioner? If you had a private conversation with the commissioner, you had other conversations and you can rip the commissioner by name. So do it.
Sure.
And by the way, I'm a huge Nafisa Collier fan. I hate the way she got injured in that game the other night. It was a clean strip. It was not a foul. And she and her coach Their coach set the tone by just going crazy. And so and earning a suspension, earning it. And so all of this heat is directed at leadership. Say what you mean, mean what you say.
Okay. Do you think they will arrive at a CBA? Do you think that league will start on time next year?
I tell you what, Tony, if you're serious, if so many players hate the officiating, hate the leadership, then there needs to be, you got to come to a head with this dispute, right? So I'm thinking, wow, do the two sides have the guts to sit it out and prove their points? I don't know.
That's the final word here. We will take one last break. When we come back, the Greek Freak makes an interesting media day admission.
And will the Fever upset the Aces tonight in Game 5? And I disagree with you. The platform, it's a nice platform for Caitlin Clark, no matter how popular she is. It's a great platform.
She brought all that extra money with her.